You know, I'm proud to say that I've had a really distinguished career. Been very fortunate to work with amazing artists such as Aerosmith, Ozzy Osbourne and the Osbournes, Shakira, Rascal Flatts, Olivia Newton-John, Ringo Starr, Ricky Martin, Sting, the Rolling Stones, Bryan Adams, Elton John. So many amazing artists. I've been so fortunate. I am David Frangioni, the host of Your Rockstar Business. Your Rockstar Business, experientially based learning on anything to do with entertainment, business, or both. So my career as a music technologist, as an entrepreneur, as an engineer, as a guy who started and successfully run companies in the music and music technology business, that information and experience is now available for you in real time. We're going to answer questions. If you want to know the road ahead, you ask those who have been coming back. Well, I've been back and forth that road so many times. Now I'm here to help you on your journey. So please tune into Your Rockstar Business on Grant Cardone TV. I'm David Frangioni. Tune in.
You're getting all funky. Woo! Oh! Man. And it's down. And it's down. Look at
I'm
that.
working on these tricks, my man. How do they look?
They look good. They look very good.
You like them?
Yeah, I love those tricks. Super strong.
So,
what are we doing today?
business development continues.
This is part 3.
Part 3.
Part three.
That's what everybody wants to know.
Okay.
That's what we're getting a lot of questions about. So who's on our scope?
I got a few people from Brazil. I got a few people from London. I got some people coming in right now. So we're pretty stacked up at the moment.
So tell me, what have you been up to?
Me? What have I been up to? Selling ads, closing deals, helping Grant with the webinar, doing a lot of production. Mm-hmm. What else have I been doing? I mean, I don't think I have a moment of free time.
You never do.
No, I don't. But it's just like gone.
But let's talk about what you've been doing in terms of your development, because you're continuously growing and you're continuously building your business, building your channel. What exactly have you been doing for that?
Development as far as personal development?
No,
Or?
I know you're always working on that as well.
Yeah.
As far as your business, how are you increasing sales? What
How
are you doing to sell more this week than you did last week, or more this month than you did last month?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I do is, and I learned it from Grant, is outflow. Like calls, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I mean, just really watching what all the other professional sales guys here do, and watching Cardone University. I mean, just being held accountable to be up to date with my skills, what I could use, and what I can use to reach more people. So,
what are you learning at Cardone University? Like, what are you that you can apply that someone who's watching this right now would say, oh, wow, like that's getting me to think kind of a different way?
I think the roadmap to the sale is my biggest thing I've learned about the process of how it goes, and follow-up would be probably number 2. But that there's a sequence of events that takes place in order for a sale to happen. So I would say, listening to Grant, listening in on some of the other calls that the sales guys do in between me editing content for the network, really developing that strategy, really developing how to build that kind of relationship and develop that trust with someone.
So can a sale happen without that sequence?
I mean, I think it could. It can, because I've done it before, but it's a little bit, I would say, disordered. I think what you can do is, once you have a finite process, at least this is my experience, and I'm by no means a professional salesman, but I just see what everybody else is doing, and I think you just can have control of the situation a little bit more and make it a little bit graceful for you and for the potential client that you're trying to help. So I think that would be the biggest thing.
And that's a great point, because one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that the style of how you do something is as important as what you're actually doing, right? Which is really part of the point that you're making, is that it's the style, it's the experience. Like a lot of people say, when I say to someone that the experience that you get from dealing with me, or the experience you give somebody is not experience as in how qualified am I, but the experience meaning how is the feeling of doing it, what it is your experience in effect, as opposed to what is your experience in the field. You know, I mean, like, people always think of experience in business as how good are you, or how often have you done it in the past. But I'm talking about experience as in the actual feeling that you get, and the you know, how the whole thing plays out. And that's basically what you're saying, is when you follow the sequence that you're referring to, you can predict that the experience someone has with you during the process is going to be a good one, as opposed to just sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. It's random without the sequence. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm trying to go with it. I mean, you can kind of predict outcomes, and Grant talks a lot about that. And I think, you know, the first thing he told me when I first started to do this was, hey, you need to just get on the phones. I'm like, well, I don't really know what to say. And he's like, just get on the phones and start talking to people. And
Right.
that's just how I figured it out, trial by error. But that's how I pretty much done everything in my life, even with the graphics and the editing and the film stuff.
Yep.
I never went to school for it. I just started playing and figuring it out on my own. I like that better, because I feel like I learn faster. Because I'm like, oh, what's that button do? Whoops, okay, don't do that. Okay, what's this do? Okay, I said this to this person. They didn't respond kindly. Okay, well, maybe what I should do is really think about, well, what did I say to make them react that way? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's a lot of experience. It's a lot of trial and error.
Yep.
But with Cardone University, it's simplifying that kind of mystery of what do I say now?
Well, it's also a combination, because when you describe that you did everything trial and error, and, you know, trial by fire, it's not entirely true, because you really are taking a market approach now by going to Cardone University. And I know you go to Landmark, which I've done as well. And, you know, we're really on a path that's not just figure it out as you go. I think what it comes down to is you and I share the same philosophy. I know Grant certainly does. That's why he and I clicked in about 4 seconds, is that it's all about jump and the net will appear. But it doesn't mean that, so it's basically, it does mean like start and then, you know, figure the rest out later, as opposed to wait on the sidelines and hope you're going to figure it all out and then start, because that never happens. No one ever has it all figured out and then starts. It's basically a good excuse for never starting, if that's how you're going to look at it.
I like the just take action approach. Like, just take action and commit, and then the creativity follows after that. I think,
and I'm agreeing.
That's one of Grant's quotes.
No, I'm saying all of that, but I'm also saying that, and this is my own experience in how to accomplish goals, is that it's that, without a doubt. That is a component that is not optional. However, it is also, you know, a very educational approach as well.
Yeah.
Meaning that, let's just take, you know, what video editor do you use? Final Cut?
No, I use Premiere.
Premiere? Adobe Premiere?
I used to use Final Cut.
Okay, so whatever, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So Adobe Premiere, you're using it, and it's got shortcuts, and it's got a million menus, and it's got all these hidden powers, as well as all the obvious things like cut, copy, and paste.
Sure.
So I'm all for jump in, learn it, start editing, take a week to figure out how you're going to digitize video. But how about also, at some point, when you start to get a little bit of power under your hands and you've learned it organically, so you've really learned it, experientially always kind of goes to a deeper level in your core of knowing it, as opposed to just having it and then forgetting it, et cetera. So you've got that going. But now dig in and take it to the next level. Read the manual, or take one of those Adobe Premiere for Dummies courses, right?
Well, that's what I did. I mean, when I first started, I think I went 3 to 4 years without really knowing the technique, like really knowing what each thing did. I just figured it out by trial and error.
Right.
And then I worked for Apple for a little while, and then I got all my certifications in it. And what that did for me was it only increased my performance, increased my productivity, and made me highly effective.
I remember there was a device, and anybody who's interested can Google the Roland MC500. And it was a sequencer with a floppy drive. I mean, this is going back late 80s, early 90s. At the time, it was cutting edge. By today's, you know, today it wouldn't even be a good paperweight because it's too big. But it was really the way that we sequenced music, however many years ago, right? And I remember it was all these keystrokes, and it had like 6 hard keys on it or I don't remember exactly how many, but a handful of hard keys. And there were, and it had a jog wheel, and there were, 300 functions that you would access with this combination of a few keys.
Sure.
Right? I mean, today you'd have a whole keyboard, and you'd have a lot of hardware in front of you to execute the commands. But back then it was just this box like this big. And I remember when I first started working with Aerosmith, and I had this MC500 as our sequencer, and we were just trying ideas out of songs, or just experimenting with different ways that we could use it, that I had the keystrokes down so fast that Steven Tyler used to joke that I was doing things on the sequencer he hadn't thought of yet.
Wow.
Like, that's how fast it was.
Awesome.
And so it was actually real time to, as he was saying it, the sequencer was doing it, which nowadays isn't that hard to do because you've got really cool tools. But back then, it was just the fact that I had done it so many times and had learned it. And it really was a combination to get to that point where I had that facility on there. It was a combination of figuring things out by myself and then going through every command in the manual and then actually doing the commands before I was hired to do them.
That's strong.
So
we're gonna have to run to a quick break right here. But what I'm hearing you say before we go is that you had trial by fire experience.
Yep.
High amounts of repetition, and then actual formal.
And combined with education. With actual knowledge that someone, through the manual and those kind of help books. Even back then, they had the quick reference books. So, all right, if you're saying we have to get to a break, that means, David, shut up and take a break, for goodness sakes. Okay, so I'm David Frangioni. He's Robert Syslo, the man with the plan who can. And you're watching Your Rockstar Business on Grant Cardone TV. We'll see you on the flip side of the break.
Cool. Repairing credit takes time, it takes energy, and it takes resources. With so many options to repair your credit, how do you get started? At Safe Credit Solutions, our number one priority is to create a plan for you to repair your credit effectively. Our goal at Safe Credit Solutions is to provide immediate and ethical service to ensure your credit score rises and you can get qualified for the things you want in your life. Safe Credit Solutions has a credit portal for its clients to track progress and keep you involved and in control of your credit repair. Clients have been known to see results as soon as 30 to 45 days from starting. Visit safecreditsolutions.com, that's safecreditsolutions.com, to get started and have one of our FICO certified consultants start the process on your credit repair. That's safecreditsolutions.com. Today's world is digital, and every business, if they want success and expansion, must learn to thrive in this digital environment. Snowbot serves you, your company, and your business to help you develop software that will optimize your revenue, attract more customers, and increase your website conversions. With offices in Helsinki, Eastern Europe, and Tokyo, Snowbot focuses on web development, mobile app development, and design. To get your business thriving in this digital landscape, let us provide all the solutions needed to increase your conversion, keep attention, and grow your business. Visit snowbot.net, that's snowbot.net, to get started right now. Greatest sales secret of all time. Do you know what it is? This secret is the number one thing you have to learn to be great in business or in sales. It is vital to increasing income and increasing your business. Grant Cardone's new best-selling webcast will show you the greatest sales secret of all time. Learn how to close the unclosed deals, to pick up extra opportunities, to get to those people who are impossible to close, to shorten sales cycles, increase your profits, and breathe life back into dead deals. When you register now, receive immediately the 10 biggest follow-up mistakes, the 100 ways to stay motivated MP3 and workbook, and get access to a 3.5+ hour webcast for free, along with an 80+ page ebook. If you want to expand in business, you must learn the greatest sales secret of all time, and Grant Cardone will show you what it is. Register now at greatestsalessecret.com. That's greatestsalessecret.com.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm David Frangioni. You're here on Your Rockstar Business. What are you saying, my man?
I need to get a reverb. I think I'm going to install a reverb filter on this so that when I speak, it's like... welcome back, back, back.
You want to be the voice of God?
Voice of God.
No, that wouldn't be back, back, back. That's a delay.
That's
A reverb would be like you're in a church or a hall. Exactly. Voice of God.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. The other one would be like
Formal
80s
training.
Madonna. So we're talking about, learning technology, learning anything really, right? Through repetition, through a combination of doing it and education. I see more often than not that people get stuck on the education side. And I'm a huge proponent of education. Anybody who knows, how I live my life, the kinds of things I'm involved in, there's a great emphasis not only on my own learning, but on teaching others and being a part of education. It's an incredibly important part of anyone's life on many levels. Even if you're wealthy enough to not work and you just want personal development, you need education. Certainly for a profession, you should have education. So that's a given. However, what I see more often than not is that people get comfortable in education, even though it's very challenging. It's not easy, but they get comfortable in it because in education, you just learn, and it's incredible, and you're challenged, and it's got a lot of amazing parts to it, but you don't have to really get on the court much. There's a lot of fear missing from education other than your own battle.
And that ties into one of the scope questions as well.
So we'll get there in a second. Okay. So my point is that it's the going out and doing it that really is the most important part. And it's the part in terms of actual success, because it's the scariest, and it's the one you want to prolong the most naturally, but it's the most necessary one, which, in life, that tends to be the way that it is. So what do you think about that, Sis?
About education versus experience?
About the whole idea that people generally get stuck in a safety zone. Right? And it's getting out there and doing it that's scary as hell, but that's the missing component that you got to do.
Yeah, I went to about 2.5 years of college, and I never completed. And one of the courses that I did switch my major a few times. I did English, Spanish, then English astrophysics, then English and cinematic arts. And about halfway through my second year, I was just like, I just want to go out and make things now. Sitting in this classroom and watching these German and English and Italian films was cool, but I didn't feel productive with it. It was like, okay, watch this and write a paper. It's like, well, how is that going to help me and where I want to go? So what do I think about it?
You lived it.
I lived it. I basically just said, okay, I had an opportunity.
You did the opposite. You said, hey, education is stifling me in a sense. Yeah. I want to get on the court.
Yeah.
Funny, my life was the same way. When I was at New England Conservatory and studying 18th century Baroquean music, I was going crazy because I wanted to be out there already. I'd already been in music my whole childhood, so I didn't want to wait any longer, and I didn't find that to be, real helpful to what I saw as my final goals.
Exactly. So I had an opportunity to come up with NBC Universal. They were building this travel website, and they were like, we need you to go film 35 locations, and I said, okay, great. And so I just took it, ran with it, and then just chased after it ever since. And that was really the first big project I did. I was an intern in New York City for a little while, but even there, I learned a lot there, but experience to me is probably more important first than education. I think you need a little bit of both, but I had to put one above the other.
Right. It's doing it.
I'm a big experience guy.
Well, Grant is too.
Yeah.
He's all about action.
Yeah.
And so it's really, like anything, there's a balance, there's a combination. So if somebody wanted to see your work, because we talk about you all the time.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
And it's funny because we talk about you putting the reverb on your voice as voice of God, but in many ways you're already voice of God. So you just got to get the reverb to kind of make it bigger and more grandiose. But you're on, you talk the whole show with me, which I'm very thankful for, by the way. So, in that sense, it's really about going out, doing it, finding, what your goals are, getting the experience, getting the education, and putting it all together and finding that balance.
Yeah.
And you've done it. I've done it. If somebody wanted to see your work, they could just look at even the editing. You were mentioning to me the editing of the commercials on the show. Like that you put that together. Mm-hmm. One thing I want to say to everybody, because it's a good lesson. It's not just a compliment I'm about to pay to my great producer, Robert Syslo. It's actually a lesson, and that is that he puts it together in no time. And I say to people, more often than I even care to, that it's one thing, to me, one of the key distinctions between professional and amateur is the time in which you can do something. It's not just the skill level, but it's the amount of time that that skill level is applied. So I always use an example. If I had a cousin that, was a lawyer and I put him in the studio and asked him to mix a record, it would take him 3 weeks. And at the end of the 3 weeks, it might sound okay, it might not. A professional mixing engineer does it in 6 to 8 hours, and it's going to sound great. One's a pro, one's an amateur. One's done it, and now he's going to charge for his time. One is figuring out as he goes. Whether he's interested in it or not, it doesn't matter. The point is he's an amateur. Being a pro, Robert, like you are, is you're not just editing the commercials and saying, okay, they look great. It's you might have 5 minutes to edit the commercial.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is what a pro does.
Yeah.
And that's really important for everybody to know, because I think people get stuck in, I got a result. Yeah, but when did you get the result? How long did it take you to get the result? Getting a result is certainly a big part of being a pro. There's no question. You can't be a pro without results. But how long it takes you to get them is also an important part of the equation. And the faster you get at being great, the faster you're going to become successful. So anyway, we have a lot of questions we got to take, and we're going to hit them on the other side of the break. In the meantime, he's Robert Syslo. I'm David Frangioni. You're watching Grant Cardone TV, your rockstar business. We'll see you in a second.
Leave a mark in your neighborhood with a lasting impression. A professional landscape can deliver that and more. And the man to bring it to you is Steve Griggs. Awarded the National Best of Hows in Client Satisfaction in 2016, it's clear why Steve Griggs is the #1 visual artist in landscape design. With 30-plus years of experience, dynamic energy, and the true New Yorker spirit, Steve Griggs brings flexibility and innovation to his craft. With clients such as Dr. Oz and the Palisades Center Mall in West Neck, Steve Griggs crafts and delivers a brilliant landscape plan offering top value to guarantee your backyard oasis at a fair price. Landscaping can increase a home's value 15 to 20% with a return on that investment from 100 to 200%. Steve Griggs treats every client to a transparent step-by-step hands-on process from concept to design and implementation. When Steve Griggs promises, he delivers. As a member of the American Society of Landscape Architects, combined with his years of formal training and experience, your landscape will be transformed from ordinary to extraordinary. This isn't landscape design, this is lifestyle design. For more information, visit SteveGriggsDesign.com. That's SteveGriggsDesign.com. Greatest sales secret of all time. Do you know what it is? This secret is the #1 thing you have to learn to be great in business or in sales. It is vital to increasing income and increasing your business. Grant Cardone's new best-selling webcast will show you the greatest sales secret of all time. Learn how to close the unclosed deals, to pick up extra opportunities, to get to those people who are impossible to close, to shorten sales cycles, increase your profits, and breathe life back into dead deals. When you register now, receive immediately the 10 biggest follow-up mistakes, the 100 ways to stay motivated MP3 and workbook, and get access to a 3.5+ hour webcast for free, along with an 80+ page ebook. If you want to expand in business, you must learn the greatest sales secret of all time, and Grant Cardone will show you what it is. Register now at GreatestSalesSecret.com. That's GreatestSalesSecret.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm David Frangioni. You're watching Your Rockstar Business on Grant Cardone TV. We've got a lot of great questions out there. Robert, let's start jumping into the questions and seeing who's out on the scope. What have we got?
Absolutely. So tying into what we were talking about before the end of the break, you started to discuss time, turnaround time, and speed. Let's expand
the time
on
it
that.
takes to get something done.
Why is that so important in the expansion of your own business?
Well, it's everything. A great business person once said to me, timing is not only everything, it's the only thing. And so, you can say that about different things in business. You can pick something and you can get really focused on it and say it's the only thing that matters. And you could be right every time that you say it. You could say that about communication. You could say that about quality of work. You could say that about quality of employees. There's a lot of things you could say it about. But the fact is that it always is going to come down to at least one thing. And timing is a great thing to focus on. I'm very blessed because it's been something that I focused on very heavily in my career. When I've been, faced with, okay, I've got 5 choices to make, which one am I going to focus on? I've almost always chosen timing. So I think it's, good advice to say that timing is not only everything, it's the only thing. Because when you talk about timing, you're talking about several things that all kind of converge to, get you the end result. Talking about how long it takes you to do something as a professional. So that could be, if you own a manufacturing plant, it's how efficient and how long does it take you to manufacture something. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a consultant, how long does it take you to get the info and provide it? If you're writing a book, how long does it take you to write the book, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. Then there's also the timing of when you say things or do things. Robert, how often in your career have you found that it's when you say something is as important as what you say, right? I mean, a lot of artists I work with will say, could you have told me that when I got off the stage as opposed to just before I was going to get on the stage?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the difference between a great night and a bad night. And the only difference was when you told somebody something. So you got to learn that. What have you found?
I mean, what I found is that the really successful people know that. The people that are fully able, fully capable, people that can, that are looking to really enhance not only their own personal business and development, but also their clients. I mean, I think the best thing that I've witnessed was seeing when is it appropriate to say something, when is it appropriate not to say something, right?
Well, that's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
So you're talking about timing as far as of not talking.
Even in creating things, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, well, we need a promo done in 30 minutes. Grant wants to do this new thing. Okay, it's like, great, let's just roll right now. Stop what we're doing, get it done, over with, move on to the next thing.
It's a great point.
So I find it's necessary to be flexible, but also find it's necessary to maybe have an awareness about when it's time to move forward, when it's time to speak, when it's time to not speak. You know what I mean?
And prioritize. You're talking about the timing of priorities. Like if Grant says, hey, I want this now, and you already have started working on something else, and you got to drop that something else, which at face value might seem inefficient, and go on to this new thing, that's what you got to do. And a lot of people get stuck on that. I mean, we're gonna evolve this timing conversation into a different thing, but it's relevant.
And you can't get stuck in it though. You just got to be like, okay, this is where it is right now. We're gonna go this way.
You can't, but a lot of people do. I mean, look, I have to tell artists that I'm working with all the time. It's like, guys, you've signed up for the Marines, whether you realize it or not. Like if you're a Marine and they call you and go, we're going to Normandy, and everybody's on a boat, and you're going across the Atlantic, and you're going to Normandy, and halfway across the Atlantic, they go, turn around, you got to come back to North Carolina. Everybody just does it with a smile on their face. If you hit North Carolina, you're exhausted. You've just gone halfway into the Atlantic and back. It's cold, it's windy, it's wet. And as soon as you get on the North Carolina, ground, they say, guess what? Back to Normandy. I mean, like, is that easy? Is that like completely ridiculous? Why wouldn't you know that we needed to go to Normandy in the first place? Why do we go halfway? I mean, you can get caught up in all this stuff, and it's like,
right.
but
why
the
they invented a smile.
Well, and
why
that's
you just smile.
And that's why they inherited professionals. Yes. That's the difference is, and a Marine is a professional armed forces person that says, okay, I'm here to serve and protect, and at all costs, at any time, under any circumstances.
Purpose.
That's an entrepreneur.
Purpose. An entrepreneur knows
what's the difference. And that's also a musician, because musicians are like, okay, we're doing the interview at 1, and then at 5 minutes of 1, oh, it got bumped to 1:30, and then at 1:25, oh, there's breaking news, so they're not going to do the interview today. And it's like you can get so caught up in the change that you lose focus on what's really important, which is just get it done, and you can't plan for that stuff. So I think it's a great example when you talk about, like, Grant needs something in 30 minutes, and of course, whenever somebody's going to ask for something like that, it's not like you're sitting around just waiting for some idea to pop up. You've got a full agenda. Yeah. And that's really, if you look at it metaphorically, that's life, right? So, like, life is planned and is going on. It's like you look at your calendar, here's what I'm doing. I always say to people, you want to know what it's like to be flexible? Look at my calendar at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday and look at the same calendar, but on Tuesday at 8 p.m., look back and see what happened based on what you said was going to happen with me at 8 a.m.
Exactly.
And that calendar, when you look, because I'll document all my changes through the day,
Sure.
you will see at 8 p.m. when you look back at that 12-hour window, what you looked at 8 a.m. will look almost nothing like it. There might be 2 things in that window that stayed the same, and the whole rest of it just looks like a bad, a bad street in San Francisco. And so that's what it's like. And it's the ability to be successful under those circumstances that are going to basically give you as much success as you can handle under those circumstances. It's really, if people think that's hard or that's challenging, and in some ways, and to some people it is, that's what you have to really get good at. And then you'll find that your limit of success gets much higher. And the higher it is, the higher you go, right? Because you're only stopped by the limit.
Exactly.
Make sense?
100%.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it's a huge growth process. I mean, just over the last few months for myself with, doing a little bit more as far as bringing in new clients and business on top of working with Grant and all that. It's like you said, it's like that road on San Francisco. It's all over it kind of gets a little crazy. It gets all over the place. New things pop up. This is happening now. Come over here. David's coming in to shoot. You got to do this ad. Now you got to call this guy. Now you got to schedule this show. Okay, let's promote the webinar. Let's go shoot a quick. It's just.
And half of it changes as you're going.
Exactly. There is you can't, you have to have, the way that I handle it is I have an expectation and knowingness of what I need to do to get, what I need to be doing. Mm-hmm. But I also realize that I need, at the same exact moment, be 100% flexible that anything could happen at any second.
Yeah. And
that's what you have to have.
Yep.
Again,
that's the best.
It's huge as far as growth and experience, which is what we opened up the show about.
Yeah. Well, it is. And, I think that if for everyone watching, if you can take that away, what you need to do is you need to take a step back and see how it applies to your life. In other words, just consider the possibility for some of you, right? Consider the possibility that maybe you are stuck. Maybe you are too rigid. Maybe you are, too kind of married to a plan. And when that plan it doesn't unfold the way that you expected it to or thought it would, then you kind of get wrapped up in that, right? So what you energize is what's going to happen. So if you focus on the fact that the plan is now chaos as opposed to what the new plan is, right? So both things are happening simultaneous. You choose which one you want to see. If you choose, I choose chaos, all you're going to do is just sit there and wallow in drama, and you're going to find that you really didn't get much done. If you choose, there's a new plan. Robert's example's a perfect example. It's like Grant says, I need this done in 30 minutes. If he sits there for the whole 30 minutes and just complains about the fact that he was working on something else, it's not going to get done, and he's not going to succeed. If he says, new plan, got to do this in 30 minutes, that's the only thing that's going to happen. And what's going to occur at the end of 30 minutes is a successful result. Grant's going to get what he wants. Robert's going to give him what he's expected to as a professional. Then Robert goes back to his other thing because clearly that wasn't what needed to be done in that 30 minutes, even though 2 hours ago, that's what Robert thought needed to be done. Does that make sense?
100%.
Sometimes I feel like we talk so fast.
Let's go. New plan. Let's
right.
go.
Right.
Okay.
And how much are you going to adapt to it, and how open-minded are you going to be to just going with it and focusing on what matters as opposed to he said this or they said that or I thought we were doing this. Forget all that stuff, everybody. It's just going to bring you into drama. It's going to bring you into things that don't matter. And and that's not what we want to see for you. We want to see incredible success. Whatever your goals are to realize are what we want to see you realize and accomplish. That's why we're here on Your Rockstar Business on Grant Cardone TV. And until next time, he's Robert Syslo. I'm David Frangioni. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.